Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, folks. Please come forward so we can reestablish a quorum. We are obviously going to be here again tomorrow night for the special town meeting. So I want to remind folks that we'll take donations in the lobby for the Falmouth Service Center. Some of the things being recommended by Ms. Swain from the Service Center are healthy, low-sodium soups, crackers, and healthy children's snack items that they can bring to school. So tomorrow night in the lobby, we will be taking donations for the Falmouth Service Center. At this time, we'll reestablish a quorum. All town meeting members present, please rise. Tell us return account. Yeah.
Mary changed the original number from 37 down to 12.
6,183 is what came out of that last meeting. Okay, there was some question during the break. Folks, there was some question during the break about Articles 15 and 16. What I said is by a call of the chair, we're going to pass those two. Not pass them like make them law. Pass them that we're not going to deal with them tonight because there's some information that the town administration is still waiting to hear back from the Attorney General's office in relation to those articles. So we are going to pass over them, and then we will come back to them tomorrow night after the special when we have an answer to the questions that have been posed. So reestablishing the quorum in the First Division. 55. In the Second Division, 87. And in the Third Division, 62. We have more than we started with. By a count of vote of 204, we have a quorum and we're back in session. Okay, we are on Article 18. This is to see if the town will vote a sum of money for the debt service and maintenance and operation costs for the town turbines. Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee, for a main motion.
Moderator, I move Article 18 as recommended with one change to the dollar amount, where it reads $37,133. Please insert $60,366. Also, may I also make one other change here, that this amount is to be expended under the jurisdiction of the town treasurer.
Okay, so we have $60,366 to be expended on the jurisdiction of the town treasurer as recommended. Any further discussion on Article 18? The treasurer and town manager. Okay. So the main motion is to be expended under the jurisdiction of the treasurer and town manager. $60,366 as recommended. Discussion on Article 18. Yep, Ms. O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Maureen O'Connell, Precinct 4. Is there any breakdown available with respect to how this 60,000 breaks down? What's maintenance? What are the operational costs? And what are the costs to replace the electric power not produced?
Okay. Ms. Harper?
I'm not sure if the chairman wants to address the specific motion. I'm happy to follow up.
I think he told me that you had the numbers.
Well, it's the vote of the Finance Committee included $12,366 for debt service, and that's under this article, and that is a portion of the debt that will be due. In addition to that, there is $48,000 associated with ongoing support of a review process. So that would be technical assistance funding for operational planning.
Technical assistance for the okay, those would be the operation costs?
That is under the jurisdiction of this article.
Well, what are the costs associated with the purchase of electric power to replace the electric power not produced?
That is not related to this article. That would be related to other articles on the warrant, I believe, Mr. Moderator.
It's in the article.
Well, it's in the article, but is that what the $60,366 is going for?
No.
Okay. So the article says we can do a
Well,
bunch of
it's-
things, and the appropriation of the $60,366 is for whatever she just outlined.
And we,
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, it quite clearly states that the article states to appropriate a sum of money to pay debt service and maintenance and operation costs, and further to pay costs associated with the purchase of electric power to replace. So if it's, right now it looks like we're paying that. Can we strike that out then if that isn't a part of this article?
If you don't appropriate an amount of money, it's irrelevant, but do we have a...
the operational budget for fiscal 2013, which is governed by the annual budget, is projected that the wind turbines would operate to generate enough energy to offset $146,000 worth of energy. So that's it's anticipated that the operations will support that. If there are alternate votes, we'd have to come back and appropriate additional funds.
But this article is to appropriate a sum.
Okay, I'm gonna say this again. The article says you can do all four of these things, and they had a meeting.
It doesn't say
where the
Mr. Moderator, it says
where-
and.
Yes. So that means they can do any of those four. Okay? So it's inclusive. They can do that. They had a Finance Committee meeting, and the administration came and asked them for $60,366 to do the first portion of what the article mentions and not to use the authorization to further purchase electricity. So the itemized breakdown of the $60,000 does not include the further purchase of electricity. It could have, and that's why they made the article broad in case they needed to do that, and they chose not to do that in this article.
Well, then I guess I'm still confused as to why the article states that. Thank you.
So that they could do it, and that's why the number's different, because they weren't sure exactly where they were going to go. But I would ask the administration in the future, when you have something like this, if you could have a breakdown for us,
Sure.
so that when a question arises like that, it's very clear, the line items, and they add up to $60,366. Okay.
Okay.
Further discussion on Article 18. Hearing none, the question will then come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority. Article 19, Mr. Chairman.
I move Article 19 as printed.
Okay, Article 19, this is to create a health insurance stabilization fund. Mr. Lowell? Mr. Lowell hold this? Oh, Mr. Scherer held this one. Okay. Mr. Scherer told me that he was releasing his hold during the break. Any further discussion on Article 19? Hearing none, then the question will come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to create a capital improvement stabilization fund. Mr. Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 20 as printed.
Article 20 as printed. Mr. Smolowitz, I think, held this.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ron Smolowitz, Precinct 8. I would like to see an amendment to this article by eliminating the word utilities. And I'll just be short and sweet. Utilities, primarily water and sewer, but let's just specifically talk about water. Water should be an enterprise system. It should be a fee-for-use type system. Water is going to be our biggest issue in this town over the forthcoming decades. We need to set up a system to conserve water, which means we need to pay the true cost of water. And I've mentioned this before at town meetings several times. We need to identify our capital costs to maintain our water systems. That's the pipes, the pumps, the trucks, the manpower. And our fee for water should pay for that cost. And that would bring on a conservation ethic, which in the long term will reduce our water costs and help conserve our water supply. By grouping it up in the general capitalization program, we're putting an 800-pound gorilla. And when you look at Article 21, you could get an idea of the magnitude of water system and sewer wastewater system costs. We need to treat it separately. We should not group it in with all the other capital needs that we have in this community. We need to deal with water and sewer, the utilities, as a separate issue. So that's why I'm primarily suggesting that we take it out and ask the town administration to work up an enterprise system for dealing with our utility costs. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend the main motion by removing the word utilities. Discussion on the amendment. Mr. Chairman.
Town meeting members, I would recommend against the amendment. The inclusion of the word utilities simply allows, I think, a little bit more flexibility. To establish an enterprise fund is not an insubstantial task, and it would take a while to do that, number one. Number two is that any monies that go into a stabilization fund and any monies that come out of a stabilization fund require a 2/3 vote. Third is that this is a stabilization fund to provide for capital improvements. The town will get a very thorough capital budget presented to them, and if anybody objects to any of the items that are included in there, whether it is utilities or a building, the Finance Committee will have vetted it very thoroughly, and the town meeting can, at that point in time, isolate that undesirable appropriation and exclude it at a capital budget meeting.
Further discussion on the amendment to remove the word utilities. Hearing none, then the question will come on the amendment. Mr. Smolowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just to address the one issue, the reason I'm recommending taking it out, I'm recommending enterprise, is that it's pay as you go, to give people that conserve water an economic break, and those that don't conserve water to pay for their use. By grouping it in here and paying for it as capital improvement, we all pay the same whether we conserve water or don't conserve water. It's like if we all paid the same electric bill, regardless of how much electricity we use. The fee that we're paying for water now does not cover anywhere near the costs, the capital improvement costs of our water system.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. Wilbur and Ms. Davis.
I have tremendous respect for Gary as chairman of the Finance Committee, and I listened carefully to his presentation earlier tonight. And he spoke of innovation, experiments, and living within our means, increasing efficiency, and et cetera, et cetera. And this seems to me to be an initiative on Ron's part to implement that stuff, to take a chance, to see what we're doing here, that this is, in fact, water is a problem, and I think that the enterprise initiative, if it takes some time, it takes some time. In the long run, I think it'll prove to be effective, and so I will support this amendment.
Okay, Ms. Davis.
Yes, Linda Davis, Precinct 4. My question to I guess the chairman of the Finance Committee, through you, Mr. Moderator, would be this. If we were to include utilities as we see printed, would that preclude down the line an innovative measure as suggested by Mr. Swalowitz?
Mr. Chairman.
Would not preclude that. As I mentioned earlier, any monies that would come out of this Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund would have to be voted by town meeting, and it would be voted as in companion with a specific capital budget. And if town meeting, if you recall in the past, we, in our capital budgets, go line item by line item, and if there is an objectionable line item, town meeting can and has in the past excluded that. The amendment, in my opinion, would take away some flexibility here. I think very seriously the town ought to and very likely will look at enterprise funds, but I think at this particular point in time, I would recommend voting against the amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Latimer.
Richard Latimer, Precinct 2, with just a question for Mr. Anderson through you, Mr. Moderator. What else is included under the rubric utilities other than the water services that Mr. Smolowitz was concerned about?
Mr. Chairman.
I would suggest it would be water, wastewater, conceivably, I guess those are the two utilities that are provided in terms of service to the town. I'm at a loss to think of another one, but certainly those two.
Okay. So the question will come on the amendment to remove the word utilities. All those in favor of removing the word utilities signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. And the chairs that the noes have it by a majority. Article 20, the question on the main motion to see if the town will vote to create a capital improvement stabilization fund. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 21. This is to appropriate a sum of money to the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $800,000 to the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund established under Article 20 for the purposes of Article 21, provided, however, that no money shall be expended hereunder unless the town shall have voted to exclude this appropriation from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so called, as a capital expenditure exclusion under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, I 1/2, by passing a question on the ballot at the May 2012 annual town election, said sums to be expended under the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, that's the main motion, $800,000 on a capital exclusion to go into the new stabilization fund. Any discussion on Article 21? Yep. Mr. Netto.
Joe Netto, Precinct 9. My question is to the Board of Selectmen, and how is this going to appear on the ballot? This article at the precinct meeting 8 and 9 generated a great deal of discussion and a great deal of confusion, obviously because we didn't have a recommendation in front of us. My concern is when the voters go to the polls in May and we ask them to exclude $800,000 from the tax base and to pay this bill, how is the ballot question going to appear? Can someone answer that question for me, please?
Mr. Duffy?
All ballot questions. Yes, sir. Okay. Sorry. All ballot questions relating to Proposition 2 1/2, overrides, exclusions, and so on and so forth are set forth in the general laws, and we have to frame the question exactly as specified in the laws. So it would read something like, do you approve of a capital exclusion of $800,000 for the purpose of funding a capital exclusion, or excuse me, a capital program stabilization fund? You're not allowed to put much more information than that, and it's all controlled by the general laws. And it's been that way for quite some time.
Anything else? Article 21. Mr. Hampson. Mr. Hampson and then Mr. Johnson.
George Hampson, Precinct 5. Mr. Moderator, I would like the answer to, if the voters don't vote this, what do we lose, bottom line? What are we going to not get if the voters vote this down?
Mr. Chairman.
I would suggest to you that there would be a substantial reduction in the opportunity to set aside some dollars for much-needed capital improvements. The ones that, you know, the projects or the purchases that may not be able to be made, I'm not sure that we can tell yet, because a capital budget will be devised over the course of the summer and fall and presented at fall town meeting. It will depend on the dollars that are available. If these dollars are not available, obviously it'll be a more skinny capital budget.
Okay. Mr. Johnson.
Leonard Johnson, Precinct 5. I'm concerned, I just want to make sure I've got this straight. I'm thinking about in the future, decisions that have been made by members, by townwide, at an election about certain specific capital items, they will no longer be able to make that choice. Town meeting will have the decision on how that money gets spent. Once it gets into the fund, it can only come out by vote of the town meeting. So in effect, I don't know whether disenfranchise is quite the right word, but you are taking a decision away from the voters and investing it in town meeting. And I'm not suggesting that's a good or bad idea, but I just think I want to make sure that I've got that right, that that is indeed the case.
And this is a capital exclusion, so this is a one-time deposit into the stabilization fund. So moving forward, there'll be some policy decisions about how does that fund continue to get funded. But this is a one-time exclusion for the purposes of a deposit, at which time town meeting would then authorize payment from the fund, if it passes. So, Mr. Scherer.
Dan Scherer, Precinct 6. Has the committee thought or decided on any other ways to raise money for this fund without a debt exclusion or a 2.5% override, permanent one? I mean, I think we've got to go outside the box and start looking and finding ways to raise some money. I think we're asking people now to not pay any more than they did last year, but they did that for a purpose. We need what very badly to protect our water. And if that report comes back in, we're going to have a very big bill that we're going to have to go through for an override or a debt exclusion. We also have the sewer coming up, or the alternatives to a sewer, which are going to be very expensive to us. And I think we can't keep going to the well of debt exclusions, overrides. And I hope we're really working very hard on finding other ways. There are other ways. Thank you.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, and then Mr. Donahue.
A subcommittee of the Finance Committee, which is called the Capital Advisory Committee, spent about 6 to 8 months evaluating and analyzing the particular issues. We spent a lot of time discussing what a capital purchase or a capital project, a capital expenditure should be. We looked at a number of options. And what we looked at, and I might also add that the Board of Selectmen has also discussed this, and the Board of Selectmen will be weighing in on this over the course of the next 12 months. So there has been a lot of discussion, there's been a lot of brainstorming, and the reality of it is that there aren't a whole lot of options, at least at this point.
Mr. Donahue?
Mr. Chairman, Bob Donahue, Precinct 3. I am against this and vehemently against it because we don't know what the capital funds are for. Every year we have a list of capital funds. And every year we've gone from roofs and what have you, and we've asked the voters to vote to fund these, and the voters have not funded them. I believe it's because the selectmen and the finance committee do not want to come and give our residents a full picture, including what the cost of our proposed water purification plant will be, how much it's going to cost us for the sewering, how much it's going to cost us if we have to go out and we don't get the grant for the fire department, for the fire uniforms and equipment. We have a police department is looking for communication equipment. That's capital. I think that should be in their budget. And it reflects how much it's costing us for the police department, for the Department of Public Works, et cetera, et cetera. If we don't, if you folks as leaders don't come to us with a list and tell us what your long-range plans are and how you're going to attack them, I say vote no for it until you do. Thank you.
Mr. Putnam?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Brent Putnam, Board of Selectmen and Town Meeting Member, Precinct 9. This particular article is asking you all to do one thing, and that's put money in the bank. I understand Mr. Donahue's concerns. The reality is that right now we're not asking you to spend any money. As the moderator noted, we're putting the money away. It requires a 2/3 vote. To take money out, it would require a 2/3 vote. To address Mr. Leonard's concern, this is not the idea of disenfranchising anyone. The process, if you recall, over the past few years has been to bring these perennial, annual overrides to you folks and then to the town at large in asking for approval. I think we can all agree it's a flawed process because when we need things, eventually, whether it's this body or the town as a whole, they get tired of this. And that's what we've seen happen in recent years, is that some of the overrides have failed, even though we need things. We have police cruisers, for example, that have run far beyond their serviceable life, and yet we can't replace them because the voters are tired of seeing one override after another on the ballot. The point of this process of Article 20 to establish a capital improvement stabilization fund, and this article is to put that money into the stabilization fund and begin the process of rectifying what is a flawed process so that we can actually come to you with a list of items in the fall and say, look, we want to take money out of the bank in order to pay for these items. And this way we don't have to keep going back to the voters and frustrating them. It will still be approved by you. We're not disenfranchising anyone, but we're going back to a more logical process instead of continuously asking the voters for one override after another, because ultimately that creates distrust amongst the public, and it also means that when we do need an override for something serious, and the wastewater thing is on the horizon, folks, and there may be other issues, but we only want to go to them for the big projects, for the absolute necessities. That's what this does, is it removes that from the ballot in May, keeps it to this body where we can address these issues. You still have the decision. It's still going to require a 2/3 vote to take money out of the bank. Please support this article.
Ms. Flynn? Chairman.
To illustrate even a little further, you will remember prior to 2005, 2006, that when you came to town meeting, usually in the fall, we would have a long list of capital items, and you would be asked to spend approximately $5 or $6 million from free cash to pay for all of these capital needs. Well, with the downturn in the economy, the local receipts that help generate those revenues no longer exist. We don't have that free cash. So what has happened in the last 3 or 4 years is that our capital needs are not being met. The infrastructure repairs aren't happening. Equipment isn't always being able to be purchased because we haven't had the funds to do it. Now we are looking at, now that things have improved slightly, we're looking ahead because we don't think we will ever have, again, those days where we will have $6 million in free cash to pay for capital needs. So that's what this plan is about. The stabilization funds is taking the monies and when retiring debt occurs, or perhaps with the meals tax is another source of revenue that may be looked at, but to try to build a stabilization fund so that the monies in those funds can be used to meet our capital needs. There is a 5-year capital plan. It is being refurbished, if you will, during the course of this year, particularly over the summer, if this article passes. But this is the way of the future, and this is the only way we're going to be able to meet our capital and infrastructure needs is through a stabilization plan.
Okay, Mr. Swain?
Precinct 1 and 7 at this point. At any rate, on page 7.
Mr. Swain, can you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
Am I there? Good. Yep. Thank you. We're talking $800,000 for a Long Pond filtration study and in the 2012 funding. Now, down here under descriptions, you don't list it. And this is what, I know everybody's been trying to explain it, but it should be listed in both places as to, what we're excluding. That's my question.
No, this is excluding a sum of money, $800,000, to go into the newly created Capital Stabilization Fund. The purposes that we use that for would be the subject of a future town meeting, where town meeting will have to vote to spend money from the fund if it's deposited in there.
So aside from it going into the fund, these descriptions don't matter.
That's correct. These descriptions were an attempt to maybe give you a little insight as to where they're looking to go, okay. But you're not voting on any of the things that are in the explanation. You're just voting on a deposit, to seek a deposit of $800,000 through a capital exclusion question on the ballot to go into this fund for future use.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, let's see what Mr. Netto and then Ms. Valiella.
Joe Netto, Precinct 9. Mr. Anderson, question to Mr. Anderson, through you, Mr. Moderator. I think as a town meeting member, again, I spoke earlier about the confusion, the way the article was written, and I think that this is where a lot of us who want to support this are just hesitant. I think the explanation is very poorly. You have figures, you have projects, and then, as you just said, well, maybe. And that's why overrides fail. You have to tell the taxpayer what you're going to do. You want $800,000, spell it out. And I'm talking to the Board of Selectmen now. You know, as I see what's written down here, D, School Department, Natural Resource Vehicles, Harbor Master and Recreation, there's nothing definitive there. There's nothing explanatory. To put this out to the voters, this is designed to fail. And that's why I asked my first question. And also, as I understand this, if we look at the 1.6 figure, and I don't want to confuse more, but in the next article, when we do the budget, if I'm not mistaken, correct Mr. Anderson, we're going to put $520,000 into the capital stabilization fund. We're going to do that ourselves as town meeting members, and it's going to come out of the real estate tax for next year, correct?
The budget for fiscal year 13 does contain a recommendation of $520,000 to go into the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund.
Thank you. And hopefully, if we pass this and it gets on the ballot, and I'm just trying to explain this to the people that are watching this on TV, and myself, so another $800,000 if the voters approve it, so that we're guaranteed in November to have the total of $1.3 million. When I see those figures, and then I can stand up now and support the article, as long as you folks on the stage, Board of Selectmen, come up with a more descriptive definition, and the Finance Committee, of what you're going to do with approximately $1.3 million of the taxpayers' money. Because I think the important thing here, again, is we're going to vote in the next article to put basically $500,000 into this fund. And as someone said earlier, it comes down to Mr. Johnson, I think he was correct when he brought out the point. We're asking the taxpayers to trust us to spend that money wisely. If you look at the next article, we're going to vote on $112 million. I've stood up here many times and reminded everyone that the selectmen don't spend the money. We do. We have to come up with a yes vote on $112 million. Now we just have to convince the taxpayers to give us $800,000 and trust that we'll spend it wisely. Thank you.
Ms. Valiella?
Precinct 5. I support this article because I think that there is a lot of careful thinking that has gone into developing a better way to handle our finances. I do think that we have to explain to the voters why they should support this ballot, why they should support this question on the ballot. And that is the reason I rise, Mr. Moderator, through you to Mr. Anderson. In your explanation, you say that this, meaning the $800,000 capital exclusion, will replace the tax effort adopted with the $800,000 with Long Pond. And I think you should explain that a little more clearly. I think voters will ask, will my tax rate go up? And I think what you're trying to say is that it will be level, but you should say that.
That's Mr. Boyer's window of opportunity from the 1990s. Mr. Anderson.
I would concur with Mrs. Valiella's analysis there. This particular $800,000 capital exclusion is intended to replace the $800,000 capital exclusion that will be paid off in this current fiscal year, which was passed for the Long Pond water filtration study. The key point there that she mentioned is that there will be no impact on the tax rate as a result of approving this capital exclusion. It will remain the same because there is a capital exclusion for $800,000 in place this year in the tax rate. It would just simply continue it on into next year.
Okay. Mr. Murphy?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I think it's important to explain to folks that this is a new model. This is the innovation that Mr. Anderson was speaking of. The only problem is that we have to get from point A to point B, and how do we go there? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And by creating this new process, how we're going to fund our capital, we're going to do this the first year. And hopefully the Board of Selectmen will come back to you next year with a long-range plan. But the idea is not to be able to put money away into the general fund and then we steal it for different reasons. The stabilization fund, by dedicating specific money there, it will be spent only for capital projects. Things like each and every one of you come to me every day, beach nourishment, a trailer on the beach, something for a parking lot. All of these issues will come back before you. The Board of Selectmen recognizes the importance that we needed to put skin in the game, meaning that we had to also help take money from the budget and continue to fund this. Yes, there's going to be $520,000 out of the operating budget that will go to fund this. There will be an additional $300,000 that we're going to have to come up with, maybe from meals tax or some additional free cash to fund it as well, to come to the $1.6 million. We need to start somewhere, and the starting is now. I'm not asking folks to take a leap of faith. What I'm asking you to do is put the money, just like Mr. Putnam said, put it away. We're going to ask the voters to put it there, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a laundry list of what you think is important. Hopefully, you will go along with each and every recommendation, but the town meeting will have the ability to say, yes, we think this is a priority, or no, we do not. Keep in mind that this is not for major capital projects, but for smaller capital projects, things like a fire engine, a police cruiser, things of that nature. Thank you very much, and I hope that you support this, but not only here tonight. I hope you help take this message to the voters, that this is an important first step in our long-range capital planning. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Latimer, then Ms. Davis.
I strongly support this article. I think the best way to look at it is like it's an analogy with, I know this is political hot button, but don't get me wrong, with the reason why we buy health insurance. We don't know at this point what's going to happen to us next month or next week, but we know we're going to have to spend money for something. So right now, what the Finance Committee and the Selectmen are asking us for is to put a fund in that is like insurance, so that when these needs come up, police cruisers, some kind of equipment for the schools, they don't have to go to the voters and ask, for these projects. We will have the same flexibility that we in fact had in this body before Proposition 2.5. Mr. Netto asked, the voters are going to trust us to spend it. Well, before Proposition 2.5, that's exactly what they did. This body decided what was going to be spent with our tax revenues, and we adjusted the tax rates accordingly. And that's what we were elected to do. Unfortunately, when that law came into effect, we had been in this town so efficient that our tax rates were relatively low and benign, and we got caught behind with this. And so it's been particularly, with the growth of this town, it's been a particularly hard struggle, and God bless the Financial Committee dealing with this. It's a hard job. So they come up with this solution, which we have to sell to the voters, and I think most voters will understand that what this is, it's like a contingency fund. It's a fund that when things come up that are necessary, we don't have to go to them to ask them to vote on it. They will just trust us the way they always used to do the right thing, and we will. Thank you.
Ms. Davis.
Linda Davis, Precinct 4. Yes, there are some large ticket items out there that make us all concerned, but we can't forget the small items. We can't forget those things that we have neglected for the past few years that make our community what it is. And I support this article because, in fact, it wants to do those things for those things that have been sorely overlooked in the last few years. As you know, one of my concerns has been the beaches and the care of the beaches, and particularly now the L&T Mitchell Bathhouse. I am hoping, and I more than hope, that if this is passed, Article 21, that on the priority list come fall will be the care of one of those small projects that's very close to all of us. So I ask you to support this. Thank you.
Okay, we ready to vote on this? Ms. Poole, something new? Microphone question?
Diane Poole, Precinct 9. What is the procedure for informing the voting public as, so they have a clear understanding of how this works?
About how what works, the ballot question? Or?
The fact that it's just a continuation of the other $800,000 that was passed. I mean, when people come to the polls and they vote, what has been done to make this clear to them?
Madam Chairman?
I'm remembering other ballot questions that we've had in the past. Sometimes when those ballot questions are the result of the work of a very active and energized committee, such as last year with the Water Quality Management Committee, they had their ballot questions and did a fabulous job, if you recall, with signs all over town, holding public meetings, encouraging voters to pass the ballot questions, and they did overwhelmingly. I think it was probably some of the highest votes that have ever occurred on a ballot question. This time, it's the town's responsibility to do this. So if this article is passed tonight, I think the Board of Selectmen will take up an initiative to both educate and inform our town citizens of the ballot question and why it's important to vote. So I think it's our responsibility, and we will act on it.
I think that's very important. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Leonard Johnson, Precinct 5. Proposition 2.5 was passed about 40 years ago to make it difficult or to encourage towns to live within their budgets. And I'd just like to make one comment in relation to what Mr. Putnam said about voters being frustrated with these issues. And we all might have our own interpretation of what frustrates them. I think there's one thing that might frustrate them that we haven't talked about that Mr. Netto mentioned a minute ago, and that is, can't the town live within a budget of $112 million and pay for what is needed to run the town properly? That's what I hear when people talk to me about those questions on the ballot.
Mr. Donahue, something new?
The approximately $820,000 that's coming out of FY13 and local revenues that I guess you're going to take out of other funds. Will the selectmen guarantee that this will be forthcoming each year to this fund so that it will be constantly supplied with money to be used, so that in another year or so you won't be coming back to the people and saying, well, gee, folks, we went through that 800,000, that $1.6 million you gave us, we put in back in 12, let's go for another $1 million this year. What I'm saying is that we can't keep going back to the people and asking for overrides. You've got to come up with something that will stabilize the budget. And I recommend staying within the budget of each department without going to capital exclusions might be the answer to it. That's what we have to do in
Okay.
our businesses.
Okay,
Why
Mr.
don't we
Chairman,
do it here?
you want to respond to that?
I wouldn't necessarily speak for the Board of Selectmen, but I don't think that there are any guarantees, as Mr. Donahue implied. I don't think that we can guarantee that. What I can say and what I do know is that the Board of Selectmen have committed to working toward developing a solution that would get us to the point of we would have a certain amount of money that would be available each year. The Finance Committee, the Capital Advisory Committee has also demonstrated a great deal of interest in this. We agree that this is something that's very difficult, but the Board of Selectmen has committed that they will be coming back to revisit this and come up with some solutions.
Mr. Suso?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Julian Suso, Town Manager. I do want to underscore that this, of course, is not a permanent override request. We are asking for an $800,000 capital exclusion, and as Finance Committee Chair Anderson's indicated, we're working very closely with he and his colleagues, myself, members of the administrative staff, the Board of Selectmen, to craft a longer-term solution. We are working on those answers. We do not have them all at present, but we're working diligently on them. But I do want to underscore, as Town Manager, how critical I see this current proposal, Article 21, is to the town's basic local government services. Unlike the past few years, this is a package of projects that affects departments throughout the town that provide day-to-day services to everyone in this room and residents and businesses throughout the town. I do believe it's critical. We do appreciate your consideration, and I would respectfully urge your support for this initiative. Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Mr. Moderator, I just want to say, maybe if we just look at this as the kickoff to the new normal that our finance chairman was talking about, this $800,000 is a one-time opportunity that does not raise the tax rate, and it gets us started on the stabilization fund, which really is going to be the new normal. So we're going to have to work together on this, and we're going to have to work together in developing how this is going to work in the future, and at the same time make sure that the citizens of the town who are not town meeting members also understand that we are really in a different phase of funding our government, and it is, as Gary described, the new normal.
Okay, the main motion up there on the overhead. The question will come on the main motion to appropriate the $800,000 by using a capital exclusion into the new capital stabilization fund. All those in favor of the main motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It's the opinion of the chair is that the ayes have it by a 2/3 majority, and I so declare. Article 22. I'm going to take a procedural vote looking at the hour. Article 22 is the annual operating budget. We do have a presentation, and then we would go through line item by line item. So the question will come on whether or not to begin Article 22 or to adjourn the meeting. Okay? Motion to adjourn? There's a motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It's been the chair that the ayes have it, and we are adjourned until 7 o'clock tomorrow for the special.
Falmouth Community Television presents Falmouth Town Meeting, Spring 2012. FCTV's live gavel-to-gavel coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting is made possible through the generous contributions of the following corporate sponsors.
Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
I'm Margaret Gifford. We work for the global real estate company Sotheby's International Realty.
Margaret, how long have you been in real estate?
About 200 years. How about you?
Coming up on it. What is the real estate market like right now, Margaret?
Well, interest rates are very favorable. There's great inventory, and it is a good time for buyer and sellers.
And you know, Falmouth is so wonderful. Not only is it a beautiful place, but there are so many outdoor activities, cultural events, and opportunities to volunteer.
Isn't Falmouth great?
Nestled in a classic New England setting amid 200-year-old elm trees and charming colonial homes, stately sea captains' homes, and charming Cape Cod salt boxes, Shoreway Acres is a graceful blend of Cape Cod's past and present. Shoreway Acres, proud sponsor of Falmouth Community Television.
Landucci Italia, 824 Main Street, Falmouth. Mangia.
Founder Abraham Penn taught a valuable lesson that has been part of a tradition since 1919 when he said, "I'd rather make a friend than make a sale." For more than 90 years, Puritan has been making friends as a unique family-owned company right here in Cape Cod. At Puritan Cape Cod on 199 Main Street, as well as Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis, you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment, and much more. Puritan Cape Cod, 548-0116, or PuritanCapeCod.com.
Welcome to Falmouth. If you're a visitor, this is where surf and sun meet for fun. If you're a resident, this is where you'll find the businesses and the resources necessary to fill all of your needs. If you're a business person, this can be your home. Join with other men and women who work together to make this a sustainable economy year-round. Welcome to Falmouth, Cape Cod.
Green Harbor Waterfront Lodging is nestled in a woodland setting on a picturesque ocean inlet. Green Harbor offers so much for a fun-filled yet affordable family waterfront vacation. Enjoy our private boating beach with ramp and dock, free rowboats and paddle boats, oversized heated outdoor pool and kiddie pool. You'll enjoy our attractive waterfront and beachside accommodations. So visit us online at gogreenharbor.com.
Remember, WC Communications is your printing team. We are calm and cool under pressure. You can call us at 508-563-7366 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303.
Internet services provided by Cape.com Incorporated. Established in 1994, Cape.com is the only locally owned and operated internet service provider on Cape Cod. Our specialties include e-commerce applications and design, wide area networking services, and high-speed DSL internet access throughout eastern Massachusetts. Cape.com continues to lead the way with cutting-edge applications, superior networking services, and quality customer support. For more information, visit us at www.cape.com or call us at 539-9500.
The Nimrod, a restaurant steeped in history and tradition, is located on Dillingham Avenue. Their phone number is 508-540-4132. They offer an extensive lunch and dinner menu for all your tastes and spirits for any occasion. The Nimrod features music to suit all moods in a warm atmosphere. The Nimrod is a proud sponsor of Falmouth Community Television and their coverage of town meeting. Stop by and visit us at the Nimrod Restaurant.
Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors. Ken Legase Painting, a full-service painting contractor. Interior and exterior painting, residential and commercial, wallpaper removal and installation. Fully insured and licensed. Free in-house estimates. 508-951-3612. Leah McGuire's Irish Pub, Main Street, downtown Falmouth. What an Irish pub should be. Sláinte.
Hi, this is Robert Pino of Mortgage Security, located right here in the town of Falmouth for 21 years. We're a direct lender, a mortgage banker. You make your payments locally. And we've got a great staff, a courteous staff, and a very friendly staff.
Bayside Kitchen and Bath on Main Street in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders. Offering a full range of cabinetry, flooring, faucets, and green alternatives. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. Today, we offer a paint department, over 30,000 fasteners in stock, and a friendly staff to assist with all your hardware needs. 508-548-0407.
Beata Nurses provides home health care for you or your loved one. Whether you need homemaking, home health aid, or skilled visit services, from 1 hour to 24-hour care, Beata Nurses provides a safe home life with comfort, independence, and dignity. 508-540-0071.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations.
Bringing you the news through the years, The Enterprise. Their subscription information line is 508-299-8379, and you can visit them on the web at www.capenews.net. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal services to local businesses in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 563-5070.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations. The Bank of Cape Cod. Coming soon to 445 Main Street in Falmouth. bankofcapecod.com. The Wood Lumber Company at 81 Locust Street. Their number is 508-548-3154. Neighborhood Falmouth at 508-564-7543 or neighborhoodfalmouth.org. Green Shuttle of Cape Cod, 866-934-6476 or gogreenshuttle.com. Foley Real Estate at 703 Main Street in Falmouth. Their number is 508-548-3415. The M.R. Soares Company Flower Garden Nursery at 1021 Sandwich Road in Hatchville. Their number is 548-5288. Danny's Barbershop at 18 Davisville Road in East Falmouth. You can call them at 508-548-6013. 8 Cousins Bookstore at 189 Main Street in downtown Falmouth. The number is 548-5548. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair at 464 Main Street, 548-3164. David Rogers Electrician, residential, commercial, industrial, at 508-564-7507. Murray and McDonald Insurance Services, with 2 locations at 406 Jones Road in Falmouth and 550 MacArthur Boulevard in Bourne. B. Grant Willis, Attorney at Law, 197 Palmer Ave. Their number is 548-8386. Falmouth Fish Market at 157 T-Ticket Highway in Falmouth. Hamilton Tree at 508-563-7633 or www.hamtreeandland.com. The Law Office of Oppenheim and Nickerson at 156 Locust Street. The number is 548-8255. Davy Tree and Lawn at 996 East Falmouth Highway. Their number is 548-2662. Andy's Barbershop in the Falmouth Plaza.
Arthur D. Calfee Insurance at 121 County Road in North Falmouth and 336 Gifford Street in Falmouth. Chapman, Cole, and Gleason. Their number is 540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, now in their new location at 352 Main Street in downtown Falmouth, 548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center at Route 28 in East Falmouth. The number is 548-4842. Vincent & Associates Real Estate at 159 Main Street in Town Hall Square, 548-6500, vincentassociates.com. The Cape Cod 5 at 763 Main Street. Their number is 508-457-5252. Cape Cod Cleaning. Their number is 508-563-7622. And Steve's Pizzeria and More at 374 Main Street in downtown Falmouth, 457-9454 or 457-9636.